Over the years, I've noticed a few things that students sometimes have trouble with when it comes to working and studying independently. A lot of you will probably already know this stuff, so if you do, sorry, at least I'll keep it short. The two main things you will need to study on your own in this class are grammar and vocabulary. So the purpose of this video is to help you understand how to effectively and efficiently study grammar and vocabulary so that you're not wasting your time. So let's say that you are doing a grammar lesson. I just picked independent and dependent clauses randomly. For every lesson, you will be assigned that particular thing to practice on Quill, but there will also be additional resources available to you in the sidebar on Canvas. I don't have that set up just yet, but it will be there, and this is an example of what the page might look like. So usually I have an explanation of the particular skill and then lots of examples of it. So here I give a definition. If you can recognize a subject and a predicate, you can identify a clause. A clause is any group of words that has a subject and a predicate. If it's missing both or either of these, then it's not a clause. A group of words that's not a clause is called a phrase. So here I give an example of the group of words, whether it's a clause or a phrase, and then if it has a subject and a predicate. So plenty of examples here. And then underneath that, I have a practice exercise you can try. So if I were you and I was learning this for the first time, I would click on the link to try the practice exercise. So on Khan Academy, it gives you a question and then you have to choose the answer. In this particular case, I don't see a predicate, so I will call it a phrase. Check. Alright, so notice Khan Academy asks you to get 4 right in a row in order to move on to the next lesson. I would wait until I got all of them right before I felt confident enough to move on. A lot of times students will get to this point, get one right, and then assume they understand it completely. That's a mistake. If you get to this point and you're confused why you're getting answers wrong, that's when you need to either ask a classmate or me for help, and I will gladly walk you through it. Alright, so let's say we understand the difference between clauses versus phrases. We've gotten 4 correct in a row on Khan Academy. We're feeling good. Then we move on to the next part of the lesson. Once again, I give you definition and then a bunch of examples. And in this case, I include a video link in case you don't understand the way I explained it. If you feel pretty good about how I explained it, you can go ahead and move on to the practices. So you can do another Khan Academy practice if you like that one. If you feel confident with that, you could try another one. This is IXL practice. One thing about IXL is that it will only let you do 10 at a time before it'll lock you out of the website for the rest of the day. So you gotta be careful not to waste your 10 questions on IXL. So I'm doing pretty well on this, but let's assume I don't get it. I'm going to get a question wrong. It gives me an explanation. I can read through this explanation and then try again to see if I get it right the next time. And boom, I did. Okay, but let's say I'm not doing well. I can go back and watch this Khan Academy video for a different explanation of how to do it. Okay, if I'm still having trouble after I've watched that video, then I can once again ask a classmate or Ms. Lancaster for help. At the end of the lesson, you want to be able to click on whatever the highest level practice is. In this case, it's a game on Kia. So I have a practice question here. Which type of clause cannot stand alone as a complete thought? And that would be a dependent clause. So I got that one right, and I got my points. Let's say I don't know how to answer the question. Whether this is independent or dependent. I can't stay long. I don't know, I'm gonna pick green. Nope, game over. So I gotta start all over again. Okay, this time I'm not so confident, so I'm gonna look at a hint. And it gives me a little bit of help with answering it. I would not feel confident to move on and actually take the quiz until I could get all of these answers right in a row. And that's how it would make sure that I completely understood this particular grammatical concept. And remember, at any point you can ask me for help until you get to the quiz. The second thing that you might need to study sometimes is vocabulary, and I will often provide a link to Quizlet. So, where a lot of students go wrong when it comes to vocabulary and studying vocabulary on Quizlet is they think that simply reading the definition over and over again is good studying. That's not good studying. You need to actually quiz yourself and test yourself, give yourself a challenge to make sure that you're actually learning something. Alright, so I would recommend starting off with the flashcards. Alright, so this one says a letter or group of letters, for example, UN, which is added at the beginning of a word in order to form a different word.
A letter or group of letters for prefix.
Yeah, so the answer is prefix. Okay, now since I didn't know that one, I'm going to click this star. And that means I can come back to it later. Let's move on to the next word. Let's see, letter or group of letters added to the end of the word. I know that one. The suffix. Let's check my answer. Yeah, it was right, so I don't need to star it. Gonna move on to the next one. The part of a word that contains the main meaning which cannot be broken further. I really don't know. Okay, it's a word root. Since I didn't know it, I'm gonna star it. Let's move on. A word that has the same definition as another word, that is a synonym. And I was right, so I don't need to star that. I can move on. A word that means the opposite of another word. Let's say I forgot. It's an antonym. Okay. So antonym, opposite. Star it so I can come back. A word part that can be added onto a word root, prefix, or a suffix. Ooh, that's a hard one, but I know it. It's an affix. And I got it right. Okay. So now, I've studied all of my words. I'm confident in some of them, but some of them, I need to review them a little more, so I'm going to go back and study those starred terms again. And this time, I'm going to keep going until I completely understand them, and I just know them automatically. I don't even have to think about it. So once you get to this point, I recommend using the other functions Quizlet has for review. In particular, I like the match game. I think it's really fun. And I usually set really high records on the match game, so see if you can beat your teacher on that. Well, to sum everything up, make sure you practice things before you move on to the quiz. If you're practicing and you're still not understanding where you're going wrong, then ask for help. There's no shame in that. And basically, it's all about assessing yourself, working hard, practicing harder than what the quiz is going to be. And that will make sure that you do well when you get to the actual quiz. Alright, if you have questions about this, come and ask me. Bye.